Hey everybody, so as many of you know, if you have watched my channel for any time, fantasy is my go-to genre when I need to escape, when I just need to get away from the world and enjoy a story with adventure and fun and just get lost in a book. So today we're here to do a fantasy book haul, and I cannot wait to tell you about these all. So let's get started. Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog. How are you all doing today? As always, I hope you're happy, I hope you're healthy, I hope you're safe, and of course, I hope you're reading an amazing book or two or three or four. Today we're here to celebrate Orbit, which is an amazing fantasy book publisher that sends me so many great books that they have sent a lot lately that I need to make sure that my fantasy friends have on their TBR. Yeah, I cannot thank them enough. They have been very, very kind to me, and they send me these big, long sagas that I can get lost in and really, really love. So without further ado, get out your pen, get out your paper, get out your Goodreads, however you keep track of your TBR. If you are so able, please order these books from your local independent bookstore, or if you're a library user, get your library to get you a copy as soon as possible. So I'm going to try to do this. So the first books that I'm going to tell you about, are the first two novels in the Eden saga. They are by Justin Lee Anderson. The first book is called The Lost War, and the second book is called The Bitter Crown. And they are both out now. And let me tell you right now, I'm 160 pages into The Lost War, and my goodness, does Justin Lee Anderson know how to tell a story? So we're in a fantasy world, right, where there's been a revolt, a huge war, and a new ruling party, a new king is in power. And our main character is sort of his right-hand man, who is a magic user. Now, in this world, for many, many years, magic users were just sort of killed on sight. But in this sort of new regime, they're sort of held with a little bit of regard, and things are changing, but things are still pretty scary. So as this man travels around the country, he is trying to do things for the king, but he still deals with some disdain. And this is about him, and he has a partner who is this woman that is like a whiz she is pretty cool. She can shoot like anything with a bow and arrow. She's sort of got this gravitas to her. And then it's a group of people that sort of thrown together by the king to go on this mission together. But there's lots of things that get in the way. There are demons that are attacking, there's also the people who are still sort of loyal to the prior regime. And then you also just have like your raiders who are like trying to take everything down. And then you have people that got the plague. There is so much going on in this world, but the pages just absolutely turn. The characters are fully fleshed. It's just a fun adventure. So I highly recommend The Lost War and The Bitter Crown by Justin Lee Anderson. It's called the Eden Saga. And I'm not going to say that they're out from Orbit, because that's all of these books are out from Orbit. But I am going to say that that's a really fun series that I am really enjoying. The next book that I want to tell you about is called A Flame in the North. And this is by Lilith St. Crow, and this is the first in the Black Lands Bane series. This one actually sounds really good. Actually, all of these sound really good, so I'm going to try not to say that as all too. So, the Black Lands are a myth in this world. Supposedly, centuries have passed since this great war, and the Black Lands are part of that mythology, and supposedly they are not really there, right? But there's still this fear. It's sort of used as this sort of way to keep everyone in check. And so what some people still do is, in the south of this country, they still light these bonfires to banish the dark, to sort of keep their people safe. And our main character, it's her duty, I think her name is Solveig, Solveig, Solveig. Her duty is light these things, bonfires to keep the night away. But one night her brother kills, on a ceremony, he kills this northern lord's son, and she becomes the one who has to face punishment. And in that, she has to be a guest in the north for a year and a day. And as she journeys north, she starts to realize that the Black Lands is no myth. And there are beasts and monsters and all sorts of stuff. And her companions, well, actually, she finds that her companions are maybe not everything that she thought they were, and that their plans for her are very different. So, this is A Flame in the North by Lilith St. Crow. I think that sounds fantastic. It's the first book, obviously, in a series. Standalone fantasy doesn't exist that often anymore, and I'm fine with it, because if I love a book, I want to get lost and I want to go back. So, highly recommend picking that one up. And we're going to go from these lands in the worlds, all these fantastic things, to under the sea. And we are going to talk about A Letter to the Luminous Deep by Sylvie Cathrall, Cathrall. This comes out in April. So this is, I think, the only one that's not out yet. And this is an epistolary romance mystery sort of thing. So our main characters, the start of the main characters is E, who is a reclusive woman who lives under the ocean, and she starts writing letters with this scholar, Henry Clell. And the letters sort of go back and forth, and they sort of fall for each other via letter. And they start to discover, uncover the mysteries of the depths of the ocean. And then a sea quake comes along and destroys E's home, and she and Henry vanish. They just disappear. And a year later, E's sister and Henry's brother come together and start to try to figure out the mystery of what happened to them by reading all their letters and their journals and their research books and stuff like that. So I think this cover is beautiful, and I think it's just a different take on this sort of stuff. So super excited about A Letter to the Luminous Deep by Sylvie Cathrall, and again, out in April. So that one you may have to wait a little bit of time for. This book is actually, I can't wait to read this book, because this is the third book in a series. This is The Slain Divine by David Dalglish. I almost dropped that on myself. I have read both of the previous books, The Bladed Faith and A Sapphire Altar. I love this series so much. I cannot wait until I read this one and figure out how it comes to an end. But basically, the first book is all about the fact that we're on this island that has these two gods, a lion god and a butterfly god, when a giant empire comes to take over. This empire has been taking over the world, and they slay their gods, and they sort of start to institute their religion on this tiny community on this island. The prince, who is thought to be killed, is actually not, and he is sort of trained to be the hero of the people. And this book is all about what are the real plans that the Empire has for this island, because that is unclear. They think it's one thing, the islanders think it's one thing, but really it's something much worse, and I can't wait to figure out what it is in book 3. You have terrible, terrible villains, but you also have this group of heroes that are so unique. You have the prince who's struggling with his place. What does he really mean? He was never supposed to be a hero. How do you become a hero? There's this woman who is like this fighter. She is amazing. And she is really finding that she's ready to settle down. She ready to leave the fight. She falls in love with a woman that works in the what am I thinking of? She works in sort of like the government of some sort, and they become a relationship. But under this new regime, their relationship is forbidden. All of that goes on. You have this other woman who can let gods take over her body, which she allows the lion god who was slayed to do that. And it's all of that. And book 1 was good. Book 2 was fantastic. I cannot wait to see how this all comes together in The Slain Divine by David Dalglish. Orbit, you've got me hooked. It's so good. I cannot wait. The next book I want to tell you about is called A Feather A Feather So Black by Lyra, Selene. And this came out in March, so you should be able to get a copy of it. I don't know a ton about this one because just these like sentences on the back were enough to get me to want to read this book. It says, a changeling marked by magic, a princess bound by a curse, a fey lord with a dark secret, a kingdom on the brink of war. So I do know that there's a princess who is changed out for a changeling, and sort of how that dynamic changes everything. But I don't want to know more than that because I just think it sounds so amazing. So that's A Feather So Black by Lyra, Selene, and this is, again, it came out in March. You can get your copy now. Last but not least it's another, I don't know if this is a duology or a trilogy, but Orbit was nice enough to send me the first 2 books of, let me see if I can get the name, the North Shade Crown series. The first book is The Foxglove King by Hannah Whitten, and the second book is, let me see if I can get it, The Hemlock Queen by same author. That was a weird little transition there, Russell. So I don't know much about this one, so let's let the back help us out. Lore has been living by her wits since she was a child, running poisons for the cartel that took her in, avoiding the attention of the law, and keeping her affinity for death magic a secret. Because mortem is a rare and illicit commodity, and using it could mean death. When a job goes wrong, Lore suddenly finds herself thrust into a lavish court where no one can be believed and even fewer can be trusted. Then Lore must navigate an intricate web of politics, religion, and forbidden romance to solve a mystery more dangerous and twisted than even she can imagine. So, yes, that sounds just up my vein. Like, that sounds up my alley. And now I have the Hemlock Queen, which is the secret, and it says your obsession has returned. So, totally excited about that series. So I hope that all of these fantasy books wind up on your Fantasy TBR if you are a fantasy lover. If you are looking for a book to just sort of start your fantasy journey, all of these are really, really good, and I really hope that you pick one up. As always, I encourage you to read globally, shop locally, and until next time, I wish you happy reading. Bye, everyone.